All right, good evening, everybody. David Paul with you here in the KHOU 11 Weather Center. And this is going to be an interesting evening and overnight. We are getting reports of sleet. Very, very light, but reports of a few sleet pellets coming down in many spots across southeast Texas this evening. Surface temperatures are still above freezing, especially north of Spring Creek. They're going to get down to near freezing by morning, so maybe north of Spring Creek, an isolated bridge or overpass may have an issue, maybe. Overall, the big picture, we should not expect to see any major travel issues as far as what we're seeing right now. That being said, there's always uncertainty in forecasting a winter weather event here across the deep south and southeast Texas, and so sometimes the atmosphere does surprise us a little bit, which is why we're watching this and tracking it very carefully. This evening, I've got us dropping into the upper 30s between 9 and 11 o'clock. And it's a 20% chance for, and I've put rain in there because most of this is very light liquid raindrops coming down. But again, several reports across the area of a few sleet pellets mixing in. If you're driving in this, you can literally count the individual raindrops on the windshield. And every now and then you might have a tick, tick, tick. And that would be a little sleet pellet hitting your windshield. Temps across the board this evening, let's see, what are we looking at here? We're at 740 right now. Conroe's at 37, Tomball 37, Bush at 40, Hobby at 44. So temps well above freezing here. Although it is interesting, Brenham and Columbus have dropped down to near freezing. They're at 33. So that may be a spot where some of the bridges and overpasses, if they do get a little bit of sleet or freezing rain, could stick on the higher bridges and overpasses out there in Washington County, western Colorado County, maybe western Austin County as well. Folks out there in your Industry, New Ulm, keep an eye on you. Wharton 35, Hobby's 44, Galveston is 47. These temperatures right now are some 25 to 39, almost 40 degrees colder right now than they were yesterday at this time. What a tremendous change it has been in the past 24 hours. We had high temps yesterday afternoon, 80 at Bush, 82 at Hobby. That was a record high at Hobby. So from the 80s into the 40s and 30s in very short order. And this is the radar, and this has been fascinating to watch. It slowly began to increase, the echoes returning to the radar late in the afternoon. And now just to glance at this, you would think there's a wide swath of moderate, every now and then heavy rain with sleet mixing in. And there is quite a bit of moisture falling out of the cloud base. But as it's falling into a very dry atmosphere. Dew points are in the teens and 20s, and it's allowing that moisture, the rain, even the sleet pellets, to evaporate as they float down underneath the cloud on their way down to the surface. They're literally just evaporating back into the atmosphere before they can reach the ground. That's called virga, and that's what we've got. So even though the radar is very, very busy, much of it is just not reaching the ground, but some of it is. We're getting some light rain. I just talked with our Matt Doherty. He's en route up to the Spring and Woodlands area right now. He said he's getting a few little raindrops, isolated raindrops on the windshield and the weather tracker heading north on I-45. No sleet to report at the moment from him near Spring, but that's a spot where you could see a few sleet pellets. And really out of any of these, you can see sleet pellets. But again, temperatures near the surface are well above freezing. Here's a little closer view of the north side. I mean, it's light with pockets of moderate rain falling out of the cloud base, and probably these little bright spots, that's actually little sleet pellets falling out of the cloud base, but they are, for the most part, evaporating or melting back into raindrops on their way down to the ground. When you see these bright spots like that, the radar sees sleet pellets and snowflakes, especially sleet pellets, much brighter. So this is called bright banding. So these little spots where there's a yellow and red, it's not heavy rain, it's probably a little bit of sleet coming out of the cloud base. And then Brenham, the radar algorithm is suggesting whatever's falling is sleet, freezing rain, and your temperatures are near 33, so what's falling there might begin to stick a little bit bridges and overpasses if you drop down to 32. And then from Beat Eyes to Huntsville to New Waverly across Lake Conroe, algorithm depicting a little bit of sleet or snow, but I have not had any reports of that so far this evening. Temperatures are worth paying attention to. There are now dropping into the 30s across the north and west side. Conroe, you're down to 37. That's at the airport. Woodlands 39, Tomball's 37, Spring 38, Cypress at 35, Katy 37. Liberty's even dropped down to 39. I did have a report of a few sleet pellets in Liberty around 6 o'clock this afternoon. Temperatures to the south and east side. Hello, Galveston. Hello, Chambers County. Mont Belvieu at 40. You can see how the temp has dropped. I'm running a loop here, so we dropped over the past couple of hours. Baytown's down to 42. Pasadena's at 42. Texas City 42. Hobby Airport 44. Pearland 44 as well. Houston proper, though, is dropping down to 39. And then temps on the west side. Memorial Park's at 40. Houston Heights, good evening. You're at 40 degrees right now. Spring Branch is 39. The Addicks Reservoir Dam at 37. West Park, out the West Park Tollway's 39. Energy Corridor. You know, so we're getting into the 30s, and it's been my experience that once you do get into the 30s in an atmosphere like this, that's when it's a better chance for those little sleet pellets to make it to the ground and hit your windshield or maybe bounce off your jacket. But again, temps above freezing, they will have no consequence as far as any type of road issues as long as they stay that warm. Here's the big picture. And in Austin, they've had sleet and snow off and on most of the day. It's been very, very light. There are no travel issues reported on the roads, even in Austin, where they've had some stuff reach the ground. So that just tells you how light this stuff is as it's coming down. What does have my attention a little bit is that they've left up winter storm warnings for deep South Texas, and they've been very quiet all day today. But look at what is beginning to happen down here. We're just now beginning to see rain expand and a little bit of sleet or snow being depicted here, Alice to Beeville. Very unusual to see deep South Texas under a winter storm warning, and we here up here in Southeast Texas not under one, but that's the way this is setting up. It's going to get cold here tonight, and the storm track in the upper levels is going to dig deep south across South Texas instead of across Central Texas, and so that's why they're getting the better chance for winter weather to our south, Beeville to Alice to Falfurrias, down to Corpus and the King Ranch, than we are up here in Southeast Texas. It's just the way the storm is tracking, and we're seeing the rain and the echoes beginning to expand down there. Okay, I do want to mention temperatures going into Friday morning, tomorrow morning, so 6 a.m. Let's see, freeze line. Yeah, you know, I mean, really it's suggesting that the freeze line is just going to be our northwest counties, far northwest counties in the morning. So if we're going to have travel issues, you know, Columbus to Brenham to College Station to Navasota to Beat Eyes to Huntsville to maybe Livingston, that's the most likely areas just based on temperature, the temperature profile. So that's what we're looking at going into Friday morning. And then we go into Friday afternoon. We top out in the 40s. The sun should come out tomorrow afternoon. That'll get us into the upper 40s. Stay with the north breeze. And then Saturday morning, this is the coldest morning of the bunch. Clear skies, no precipitation issues Saturday morning. But look at this freeze line. I'm just going to draw it in right here. Right in here. There's your freeze line. So everybody, Beaumont to Pasadena, that means, you know, Baytown, Mont Belvieu, Pearland, Friendswood, Sugarland, Downtown, Bush, Tomball Spring, Kingwood, Humble, Pasadena, Katy freezes, Brenham freezes, New Ulm, Cat Spring, Industry gets a freeze, Dayton Liberty gets a light freeze. This is all light freeze, but you want to bring in your tender plants even south of I-10 down to Pearland, Friendswood going into Saturday morning. That will be the coldest morning of the bunch. This cold snap is forecast to last. It's not going to warm up. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook, staying below normal across the eastern half, if not more of the eastern half of the country. That includes Houston. And as we look at temperatures first across the nation, let's see, here's Houston sitting on 40, Dallas below freezing 31, Kansas City's 14, Minneapolis 1 below, I-Falls 13 below. And you can see the wind arrows coming right out of that, the heart of that cold air coming right into Texas. Little Rock at 29. Zooming out to see North America, Old Crow is 23 below, 11 below at Yellowknife, Kuglucktuk's 24 below. Pickle Lake is at 8 below, Big Trout Lake not reporting, Winnipeg is 8 below. So the cold air is in place, and especially I want you to pay attention right up in here. So we need a mechanism to get the cold air to come south, and we have that mechanism, and that's the northern branch of the jet. See how it's pulling that cold air, and then down south it comes. It's following the northern branch of the jet stream. We have a split jet, and that often makes for the most interesting weather because you get both the cold being pulled south out of Canada, and you get the wet weather pattern coming off the Pacific. Split jet, northern branch bringing in the cold, southern branch bringing in the Pacific moisture. That's why we're wet and cold. And this pattern stays with us for at least the next week. This is Saturday, cold, potentially cloudy, although at the moment we're forecasting sunny skies for the weekend. I'm not so sure about that with that active subtropical jet. We'll have to watch that southern branch. We go into early next week, Tuesday. Look at the jet stream pattern. Same thing, cold coming out of Canada, potentially cloudy and wet coming across the deep south with moisture being pulled off the Pacific by the southern branch, a split jet. Let's go into next Thursday, a week from today. Ta-da, same pattern. Anything cold up here is coming south. Anything wet over the Pacific is coming right over Mexico and Texas and the deep south. Cold and wet for the deep south going into next week. And I can tell you, looking at even longer range models, it suggests that the colder weather pattern may actually take over as we head into the very end of the month and into the first few days of February. It may stay quite cold. So your winter wardrobe is going to get a workout for at least the next 7 days and probably the next 10 to 14 days. Here's your 7-day outlook. And just quickly glancing at it, there's only one spot where temperatures crack the 60-degree mark over the next 7 days, and that's Tuesday afternoon. Other than that, we're in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s across the board, lows and highs. So that's the cold weather part of the jet stream. That's the northern branch of the jet. The southern branch is what keeps the cloud cover coming overhead. Now, Friday we start cloudy. We think we're going to see a little sun in the afternoon. And at the moment, I'm going to go with high clouds on that subtropical jet coming overhead, but enough sun to get us into the 50s Saturday and Sunday. And then that subtropical jet keeps the moisture coming in. We get a chance for rain Monday, chance for rain Tuesday, mostly cloudy with a slight rain chance Wednesday, mostly cloudy with a slight rain chance Thursday. That's the southern branch of the split jet. That'll be the Pacific moisture coming in overhead from west to east. I love these weather patterns like this. Trying to diagnose all of this, it is like working in a weather laboratory. So we will have an update on the computer models and, of course, a very close look at the radar. And we've got our crews spread out across town, really all over the place, checking the road conditions, temperatures, what it's like out there. We'll have a complete report on the television side on KHO U11 News at 10 o'clock. That's our next live update. We'll see you then.